Now, our next speaker was the former National Security Advisor to President Obama up until November last year. He is also former Supreme Allied Commander Europe, where he led all military operations for NATO. And in 2007, after 40 years of military service, he was appointed as the State Department's Special Envoy for Middle East regional security. So I think in that capacity, we have one of the leading experts from the US, one of the leading experts in the world on the subject matter we're discussing at this conference today. So it's my great pleasure to invite to take the floor General James L. Jones.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to spend a few moments with you to talk about a very, very important subject. I'd like to thank the organizers for including me and finding me worthy to be here. I would like to thank everyone here in the audience for your passion and your commitment to one of the world's biggest challenges, and in many cases, the courage and the sacrifice that many of you have made towards this tremendously worthwhile goal. I think the reason that we are all here is to underscore the threat to the global world order posed by the current Iranian government and its actions, and its threat to peace and stability in the world, and not just the region, I mean the world, and to the human rights, the threat to human rights and opportunities for a better life that is rightly the privilege of all Iranians, and those who are held hostages in Iranian jails today, including 3 innocent Americans, and anyone who suffers under the Iranian tyranny. President of the United States, President Obama, has, in my personal view, has articulated U.S. aspirations and goals for how the United States hopes to interact with all other nations. And he did so in 2009 in really 3 major speeches. Now, the first, obviously, was his inaugural address on January 20th, 2009. The next one was in Cairo later that year, and the third one was when he accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, again, still later. All 3 of these policy statements offered the opportunity for new beginnings based on human dignity, respect for other cultures, religious freedom, and the rights of all men and women to be free. A 4th presidential statement was also important, and I think I should mention and reemphasize the importance of that statement. And it bears repeating, and I quote, "The President of the United States said affirmatively, 'We will prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear weapons capable state,' unquote." This forms today's basis for American policy with regard to Iran's nuclear program. And we are committed to the success of the journey, and for our own, not only for our own national security, but for the international security of the world. This is not a backyard problem. Iran is not simply a local problem. It is not even a regional problem anymore. As was said several times before, and I associate myself with that description, this is a global problem. And we must think about it, and we must believe the following. A nuclear-capable Iran is bad enough for the world to contemplate, for many obvious reasons. But worse than that is that it will certainly trigger a nuclear arms race among other countries in the region. And still worse than that, Iran could export, if it acquires the technology, that technology to terrorists and their subsidiaries. And when that happens, the world as we know it will be changed. So the moment is historic for all of us, because that change will not be good. What has been done to date is not insignificant. Allow me to mention a few things. First, the United States, as a matter of policy, has asserted its role of leadership on the need to reverse the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and has successfully engaged with Russia to pass the START Treaty ratification in December. It has also led a very successful international conference designed to highlight the threat of the spread of nuclear weapons, and clearly and patiently gave the Iranian government a chance to reveal its true intentions by its activities, not just by its words. Over the past 2 years, we have engaged in overt and covert messaging to try to see whether the possibility of logic and reason could prevail. Every new nation's administration deserves an opportunity to test the global waters for a while. And in the face of little evidence that Iran has any intent to alter its nuclear weapons development program, the United States both led and participated in the world adopting the most far-reaching set of sanctions perhaps ever imposed on a single nation, with significant participation of Russia, China, and, of course, the European Union. The full impact of these sanctions is being felt, and the full impact will not be felt for some time to come. Now, Iran's actions have thus far created probably some unintended consequences for them, and their continued miscalculations will result in the following. Have resulted in the following, excuse me. The first is a U.S., Russian, and Chinese alignment, the likes of which no one could have forecast just a year ago or 2 years ago. In fact, the Russians canceled the sale of weapons of the S-300 missiles to Iran. Who would have thought that to be possible just a few short months ago? Second, the U.S., European, and Arab solidarity on this particular issue has increased dramatically. In Iran, for reasons that only they can explain and no one else can accept, has just delivered a major insult to Turkey in Istanbul. Turkey, the only major country other than Brazil to believe in the Iranian intentions in 2010, mistakenly so. In short, Iran is now more isolated than ever, but sadly, as the regime tries to survive, it's the Iranian people who suffer even more. In the last few days, 3 executions, as Judge Mukasey pointed out just a minute ago, of men whose only crime was a passion to be free, to be with their families, and to visit their relatives at Camp Ashraf. The Iranian people are not alone in suffering at the hands of this regime. Going back to Khobar Towers, the support to Hamas and Hezbollah, attacks in Israel and elsewhere in the Middle East, many deaths of U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq come as a result of Iranian technology and weapons. Hostage-taking as a terror tactic continues today. The legitimate concerns of all people in Camp Ashraf and the Iraqi pledges to the United States for their safety and security needs to be recognized and revitalized. It has been said that time is running out for us with regard to Iran. Well, let me suggest that time is running out for Iran's government as well. The global community has sent its message. In Istanbul, it was rejected by Iran. Sanctions are but one of many ways to cause change in the Iranian behavior. The suffering of the Iranian people cannot continue. The U.S. will continue to pay close attention and to engage on all aspects of this issue, from human rights to achieving peaceful use of nuclear energy that is the legitimate right of all nations. So this is the path to follow if we are to look at our children in the eyes and our grandchildren, who someday will surely ask us the question about what it was we stood for and what it was we did in 2011 when we had the opportunity to make the world a better and a safer place. So let us work together so that we can give them the answer they deserve. Because here and on this subject and with this government, failure is most certainly not an option. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.